I guess like I can go ahead and like talk about a little bit about what we're gonna do today. So basically the idea of having office hours is that we're thinking every single week we're gonna host this kind of 1 hour session for our users to trickle in, ask us questions about what they're seeing on the app. Maybe some things are a little confusing, but also like learn about what we're building over like the next week and the month. So today, what I was thinking is I was going to first of all like go over some things that we're working on, go over some new features that we've added, and also just like get a gauge for how you guys are liking the product and what you guys want to see in the near term. So with that, I actually have this Google Doc that I just created so that like you guys can just like easily type in there if you have anything you want to add, but you're more than welcome to, of course, unmute yourselves and do so there. So I'm gonna put that right in here in the in-call messages. So you guys should have access to that doc. Okay, so yeah, cool. Looks like I see someone on yours. Yeah. Hey, Alex. Cool. So I was just, Alex. I was just telling everyone. I just put a
Hi.
doc in the chat. I don't know if you're able to see it, but basically this doc is where you can just like ask questions about what's going on today, but also feel free to unmute and things like that. Totally fine. Okay. So let's get started because people can just trickle in when they do. Okay. So I guess like we can start off with talking about a couple new features in the app. So in order to do that, I think I'll just share my screen and then we can go from there. So let's see. Okay. Present. Oop, wrong tab.
By the way, it's really cool to see you all live now, yes? Not only on from the links and photos and so. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, exactly. It is very nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited with possibly doing some collaborations with all of you guys too. I think there's some really, really cool creative ideas. Okay, so you guys should see it now. So this is our app, as you guys are well aware of and familiar with now. So a couple of new things. First of all, one of the biggest things we noticed is like people who came into the app, they were kind of confused on what to do, right? So we were like, okay, what's the easiest way to get someone comfortable with what's going on in the app? And we figured that probably the easiest way is to just put a quick generation bar. So over here, this generation bar is a very basic workflow. It's super quick, and I'll explain why in a second. And with this workflow, you can basically just type anything you want, get a quick feel for what kind of concept you're trying to generate. So maybe we're starting off today, right? And we're thinking, okay, maybe I'm interested in generating some animals. I'm going to start off with this generate something quickly bar, and I'm gonna type a bunch of things to get my creativity flow like going. And at that point, when I understand like the concept, I'll move into actually creating a workflow. Cool. Hey everyone who just joined, I'm gonna put the link to this doc in the chat again in case any of you guys have any questions, comments. You can feel free to unmute and talk about it, or you can also put any of those things in that doc. I was just going over one of our new things that we've created on the app, which is this generation bar, which generates images super quickly. It's just for concepts. It's not probably going to be the final image that you want to post or like share with your friends. Cool. So that's like one of the new things we have. We also have this very cool method of generating images quickly. That's why this generation bar is faster. And that's called, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but those are called lightning models. So let's go over a simple workflow where we might use a lightning model. So I'm gonna go here, create as we always do. And then over here in the text to image, I'm actually going to see a new option that was created this week called SDXL Lightning. And with this lightning option, we can actually create images way quicker than with using the regular SDXL and SD 1.5 models. As you can see, like they require way fewer steps, like just 4 steps to generate. And that's why it's so much quicker. So like just a quick test here, I'm gonna run this workflow right here and we should get a generation fairly quick as long as I'm unqueued in a bit. Cool, are there any questions so far? I'm checking the doc right now. Cool, looks like we're good to go. And as you can see, already generated pretty fast. And this is like kind of what we got astronaut on the unicorn. So these lightning models are very good for quick generations, but of course they're not super specialized for your styles. So the way I would use them is like, first figure out what kind of concept you're trying to build by using these lightning models, and then maybe use one of the real models when you want to get a particular type of aesthetic. Cool. All right, so at this point, I was thinking I could go over and we could all develop a kind of workflow together. And I thought that would be a good introduction for people who are maybe still a little shaky on how to use the workflow page and things like that. Okay. But temporarily, I will pause for any questions. I know some people just joined in, so hey to the new people. Awesome. Okay, so this weekend I actually went back home. I live like 30 minutes away, and I was taking the train, and I was just kind of like looking out the window, and I noticed like a lot of graffiti art on the side. So I thought it would be pretty cool to maybe make a workflow with you guys live, just kind of like showing you guys what I would do to make my own graffiti art workflow. So the first thing we want to do whenever talking about a workflow, right, there's a couple things we can do. We can either start off with like exploring what type of image we want to generate. So the way I do that is I actually go from just trying stuff out using a lightning model. So the first thing I'm going to do is an astronaut on graffiti art on the side of a tall skyscraper, or let's make it a tunnel because that's easier. And I want to just see what we're working with. So what is like kind of the aesthetic I'm going for? Simultaneously, as this runs, we can also start thinking about the type of model that we want to use. Now that's always a really difficult question because obviously we don't know all of the models that exist, but we can go ahead and explore them and figure out which ones look good. We'll get back to that in a second. So over here, what do we got? We got this kind of messy picture. I don't particularly like it because it looks a little weird at the end of the tunnel, for example, but I do kind of like the graffiti art aesthetic on the sides of the tunnel. Maybe I don't want some plants here. I'm getting a general idea for the type of image I want to make. So now, okay, I kind of know I want this like empty tunnel. There's no plants and stuff in here. I want graffiti art on the side. Okay, I have that idea. Next, let's figure out my model. As you guys may know, all of the models are kind of available on civitai.com. And over here, this is like the central place where Rubbarband gets all of its models from. So over here, since I want to generate something with graffiti, the first thing I'm going to type here is I'm just going to type graffiti and see what shows up. So if I type graffiti, there's a couple options. And we can go ahead and see what's exactly happening inside these options. So, hey to the people who just joined. We're actually just going over like one particular workflow that I'm trying to create today, which is graffiti art. So what we started off with is we figured out what type of image I wanted to generate by using these new models that I'll talk about in a bit again. And we now moved to civitai.com in order to find the particular model that I want to use to generate graffiti. So we have a couple options here To me, I'm feeling like this one kind of fits the vibe for what I want. So like a regular type of thing, a regular object, but it has graffiti on it. I don't want to just create the graffiti piece in itself. I want it to actually be on the object. So the first thing I do is I click into this one. Okay, this one's pretty interesting, and see what it says. So over here, we notice that it's a LoRa, which means it's not an actual model, right? So it's applied on top of the model. And I have to use an XL model. And we know Rubbarband is compatible with these things, so that's great. And we can actually go ahead and get the download link. I think you guys have probably figured out by now, but getting the download link is a little annoying. Sometimes you might see these download options, so then you have to click on it and then right click on the actual LoRa download link. So then I'm going here, I'm copying the link address, I'm going back to Rubbarband, and I'm going to import that model. So LoRa's are fairly quick, so we should see this finishing soon, and we're all set. So I see graffiti SDXL, and it's all done. Great, so we can go ahead, enter, and use this in my workflow. So we're gonna use this in my workflow, and we're gonna go ahead and hit the settings and switch to the edit mode. So we're going back to this edit mode again because we're still in the process of creating our workflow, right? So at this point, we kind of take a look at what's been automatically generated for us by Rubbarband. So we have a text input, that's some default. We have a prompt modifier. What is this AIS graffiti thing? Well, the AIS graffiti is actually a trigger word for this LoRa. And how did I know that? I actually knew that because on the Civitai page, it says AIS graffiti. So the great thing about Rubbarband is like it automatically populates the trigger word. Okay, so now we're done with the whole Civitai part. So I want to pause if anyone has any questions about this particular website and how to use it. And I'm going to check the doc again if anyone is talking there. Okay, great. Cool, so at this point, we've figured out what model we have, we figured out the type of image I want to generate, and now we can go ahead and just start playing inside Rubbarband. So what do we look at inside Rubbarband? We have this text to image. There's a couple SDXL models that are possible. One very interesting thing is if you have, in Civitai, if you go back here and you click on a particular image, it tells you exactly what they use to generate the image. And so I can use this to maybe configure some of my Rubbarband settings. One very interesting thing is that they give me the model name, which is Albedo Base XL. And that seems to be the one they're using everywhere. So let's see, I think I actually have a version of Albedo XL that's in Rubbarband already installed for me. So for me, do I have it? Yes, I do. So I have an Albedo Base XL. I'm gonna go ahead and use that because I know that that's what all the people posting these images use. And I mean, I like them. So gonna go ahead with that. So we have the Albedo XL and we have all these default parameters. I wouldn't mess with it too much until we start generating the images. And we have the basic text prompt. Negative prompt is like the super basic ones. I'm just curious as to what this generates, so I'm gonna hit run. And we're gonna figure this out. So at this point, there's a couple things that I would say I do when I create my workflows. I usually never add an upscaler at the start. And the reason for that is because like the upscaler is not gonna change the image that much. It's just gonna make it look like nicer. And I don't want the initial time to increase because I want to add an upscaler, right? So usually I figure out my workflow completely and then I add my upscaler at the end. Okay, checking for questions again, and we are good. Also guys, one thing we're always on the lookout for is we're always looking, oh yeah. James, go ahead, just unmute.
Oh, hi. Yeah, is this being recorded? I missed the beginning.
Yeah, so like we're trying to record this. This is the first time, so there might be some technical issues. But
Yeah.
either way, I will definitely post a bunch of notes about like what's going on either way.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, James. Awesome, guys. Yeah, so all right, so while this thing is running, we'll go ahead and actually check out some other new things that we've added. Oh, actually, I can do it right in here. Okay. So in here, a new thing that we've added actually this week is we changed this weird naming called IP adapter to a style reference node. And if you add basically a style reference, you can, where did that go? It's here. You can go ahead and drag several images in of the particular style that you want. So let's go ahead. Okay, let's first finish running this. This text image.
Hey, Avi, how did you get your drop down for adding a node without hitting the button?
Yeah, so I used the right click and then I went to add node. So if you
Nice.
right click on the workflow editor screen, you'll automatically get that.
Nice, nice.
Cool. All right. I actually don't know if it was generating, so I'm just gonna run again. And we're gonna add the style node. Meanwhile, and inside the style reference, I was interested in generating a bunch of tunnel stuff, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab a tunnel image, so tunnel images. This one looks pretty sweet. Gonna go ahead and use this. Okay, I can see that node's running still. Add an image. Okay, so we've added this tunnel image, and this is going to be a style reference. The thing about the style reference is you can create how much of it will actually be applied, and this thing is pretty sensitive. So I'd say if you choose something above like 0.6, it's going to look pretty similar to the initial image. So I would err on the side of around like 0.3, 0.4 to start with. Okay, but anyways, I reran that old thing. So right here, we already see it's looking pretty cool. All we did was a boy looking at the sky. We added the graffiti Laura. We used the standard SDXL model that we saw in Civitai. And we're seeing pretty cool outputs. I mean, like the graffiti looks legit. They obviously have to have the walls so that the graffiti's on there. And I think what's interesting is actually if we upscale this backpack, I think there's a little bit of graffiti on there, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't have expected that. Okay, but so my first thing that I'm looking for, which is there graffiti? Does the model look cool? I think I've answered those questions because I'm pretty happy with this. So now what it comes down to is doing a lot of prompt engineering along with the style. So let's go ahead and first fix the prompt to add tunnel stuff. So we're gonna start off with a long tunnel, empty. We can put that in a long empty tunnel. Dim lighting, 8K, highly detailed, ultra realistic. And we can start there. The negative prompt, we're just gonna put deformed, ugly, like broken stuff around, plants because we don't want plants, and blurry. Okay. So at this point we have all of these. And we can go ahead and drag in our style reference as well. So what the style reference is gonna do is it's gonna say, hey, image generator, make it kind of look like this image in some way. What's cool is we can actually add several of these style references too, and they'll combine them in a really unique fashion. Okay, so if we go ahead and run this, gonna take a minute. One thing that's also possible is actually using a lightning model here so that it's even faster. Actually,
Will
let's go ahead.
your LoRa's work with the Lightning if you change from the normal XL to the Lightning?
Exactly, yeah, that's what I'm about to show you. So over here, we have the LoRa is compatible with an XL model, as we saw. And what we have support for in Rubbarband right now is an SDXL Lightning model. So everything that is SDXL compatible will be compatible with an SDXL Lightning. So now we can use this and we can use the same LoRa, it will be compatible. Run that. I'm guessing I'm backing up my queue quite a bit because I've canceled a couple of times, so hopefully it won't take too long.
So backtracking just a little bit, when you went and grabbed the LoRa,
Yeah.
imported it, you were able to add it to the current workflow that you were working on. Is that correct? Or did you just start a new workflow?
You can add it to your current workflow as well as start a new workflow. So for example, let's go ahead and find some other random LoRa. Okay, let's use random girl LoRa. We're gonna copy this link, and this is an SD 1.5 model, so that's fine. And we're going to import it.
Okay. Now I've seen that you can use that as a starting point. I didn't know that you could add it into something like a workflow you already had going.
Oh, I see your question. Okay, yeah, let me double check that. You might need to recreate a new workflow in order to do that. That might be
Okay.
right. Let me double
Gotcha.
check.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were mixing it into something that you had already started or starting fresh.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. Maybe we should fix that because you should be able to add it into something that you have started already. And what is this LoRa called? Let me check. I just installed a new LoRa, so I'm checking what it's called. This one's called 8 some nonsense. And so it did get added directly, I guess. If I create a new LoRa node in an existing workflow, you'll see it in the dropdown.
Oh, so you're saying you had your workflow open, then you went to Civit AI, imported it, and it automatically imported into the workflow that you had open.
Yes, what I did was I deleted the existing LoRa node and I added a new LoRa node and I was able to see it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Hope there's no questions there. That is a little confusing. So if anyone has questions, please unmute or put it in the doc that is here. I'm going to send it again. I'm just not sure if like people who just joined get the doc, so I have to keep sending it. Sorry, guys. Oh, I can pin it. Okay, pinning that message. All right, great. Also, I see that it completed, so. All right, so here we use the XL model. We checked it out. We're getting something that looks like this. I really, really like this aesthetic, actually. This is exactly what I was going for, kind of like an empty, long tunnel. No plants anywhere. It's just like a bunch of graffiti. And this kind of reminds me of like some tunnels we have here in the Bay Area. So this is pretty exciting. And so we have this as the style reference. As we can kind of see, it didn't use too much of it. It kind of like got the whole, and that's like about it. So maybe we can increase this slightly. And let's actually go back to the regular SDXL model that this thing was tested on, because that's what's going to be best. So we're going to use albedo. We're going to use prompt. We're going to use text input. Okay, cool. So at this point, I think after we generate, I don't know, but I think at this point, we probably have a pretty solid looking workflow. And what we want to do is we want to create something that people can type their own prompts into, right? So far, I haven't used the prompt modifier node pretty much at all, except for putting that LoRa trigger word in it. So what we should be doing so that anyone in the community can use this workflow, we should be porting a lot of these words into the prompt modifier, especially if they apply to any type of image, right? So for example, like dim lighting, 8K, all of these things like could just apply to the workflow as a whole. The only thing that is like actually special is a long empty tunnel, the subject pretty much. So while this is running, I'm gonna go ahead and copy this over to the prompt modifier node in the post prompt, because that's how we did it. Another quick tip here is usually in SDXL models, the best way to go about things is doing the subject and adjectives first, followed by the style and the lighting later. So I usually put my style and lighting in the post prompt, and the pre-prompt I'll do like random adjectives, and in the text input node, I will actually put the subject. Okay, so let's check out what we got with albedo. We got something that looks like this. Looks okay. Still want a little more of the style reference, so I'm gonna go ahead and up this up again. So we got a style reference there, we got a prompt modifier, we got text input, and we have our Laura. So we're all set. And this is close to something that would be publishable soon. Okay, cool. Oh, actually, interestingly, I see something's in progress, but I don't see something loading. So in case, I think there might be something going wrong slightly. And here's a way you guys can test that too. So if you see something's in progress, guys, you should be able to see something spinning on your screen, right? And I'm not able to see that. So you wait a couple seconds. If it does start spinning, then you're good. If it doesn't start spinning, I would cancel and rerun. But definitely give it a few seconds. Okay, so at this point, when we're done, this will get ready to publish, and I will actually add my upscaler node. So at this point, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to either use this menu, or I will do my right click, add my upscaler node. Yeah, this is another annoying thing. Sometimes if you click on it, it like the node appears like in some random spot. So you have to go and find it.
Now this is not better.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, sorry about that. We'll definitely work on fixing that. Okay, and this looks like pretty interesting. Okay, so we got the graffiti on the sides, the tunnel in the middle, and now we can kind of see, now it's getting more and more of the style reference. So we're seeing a lot of that. Let me see if I can zoom here. We're seeing a lot of that middle orange in there, and we're seeing an outer tunnel. So that's kind of what it's getting from there. So, okay, so now we're all set. We're gonna add the upscaler here. One thing that's super cool that we added this week is an ultra fast upscaler that doesn't work as well though. So if you want to quickly get an upscale for your images on your upscale node, we're actually going to have, I guess we're going to add it today, we're going to have this option where you can like do a much faster upscale with a different model. And I will post an announcement about that in the Discord.
There'll just be choices of models to choose?
Exactly, yeah. And like one of them is going to be significantly faster. I'll post it in the Discord.
Okay.
Cool.
The current one works really well, FYI.
Yeah, the current one's amazing. I'm just like pretty
It's
annoyed
slow,
with
but
how
nice.
slow it is. Yeah, I think like we're definitely working on speed and trying to bring it down every week. Hopefully you guys have noticed that too. But there's still a long way to go, and like the biggest issue is the upscale node. Okay, so now at this point, I feel like we have created basically all that we want to do with this workflow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to playground mode. And with this playground mode, I can just start quickly experimenting with different prompts and just like play around with it. Exactly as someone in the community would. So when you update the generation, the kind of like the settings page, and you come back to this playground mode, you'll be prompted to upgrade to your new settings, to update it. So I'm gonna click that. It's all updated. And now I can add my reference images, I can change my prompts and things like that, and I can generate a number of images. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do this. It's probably gonna take a really long time. All right, so pretty cool. I guess we created our first office hours workflow together. Hope that was helpful and like everyone kind of saw the way these creations work. I'm super excited with like the workflows that are being shared by the community, but I'd love to see some more. And I think one thing that I'm actually trying is like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but in our Discord, we now have like a workflows collaboration page, because I've seen, for example, a lot of people like work on top of Duncan or Chad's workflows. And I think it would be pretty cool if you guys could like work on it together and create something that's really awesome. Because we got a lot of creativity in this. Oh, and my monitor just stopped. Okay, there we go. All right, so at this point, let's go back to the central agenda while this thing loads. It's gonna probably take a while because we have 4 upscalers to do. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about today is what we're working on right now. So as you guys know, we've done a lot in images, and we're very interested in also moving in the video direction. So what we're working on these days is we're doing a lot of video to video transitions. So what that kind of looks like, it's actually live now. I just haven't shared it. I just haven't announced it because it doesn't work like perfectly yet. But I guess I can show you guys a little bit. I was working on one earlier today. So the idea for these video to video nodes is you start off with your video and you can kind of like animate parts of the video, change who the person is in the video and stuff like that. So what we're seeing is an image input, which can actually be a GIF now. So this guy's dancing. I actually wanted to turn him into Spider-Man, so that's what I was trying today. So my text prompt is Spider-Man dancing in an empty room with dim lighting. And the special node that we've actually introduced is this animate vid to vid node. And if we take a look inside here, you can actually use ControlNet inside it. So I'm not too sure how many people are familiar with ControlNet. Is there a way you guys could like raise your hands so I can see if like people are familiar? Okay, cool. So I see a lot of people are, but maybe not everyone. Okay, so basically in ControlNet, we're going to take aspects of the image and use that in our output. Now, what kind of aspects can we take? If we choose this thing called open pose, you're going to take the pose of the person inside the image. So for my case, where this guy's dancing, I'm going to take each frame of what he's looking like, and my generated output is going to have that same shape. I'm also using this control net called depth, and that's basically a depth map of your image. So think if I'm standing in this really deep room, so if I take a picture of me right now, I'll be in the foreground and the back of my room will be way darker in the background. And that's also going to be used in my control net. So I have this image input. I have this text input, which is a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, negative prompt with it. And I also added a style reference of like Spider-Man here. And finally, in my animate diff video to video, I'm using the open pose, which is the pose thing, and the depth map to control my output. So over here, I'm also choosing to use, it's only compatible with SD 1.5 right now. We're working on bringing XL in as well. So I'm using one of the SD 1.5 models. This does take a significant time to run because what's actually going on is it's doing a stable diffusion in a way of every single image on this clip. And it's trying to make it work across time. So I think this generation for about 2 seconds took me 40-ish seconds to generate. And so I can show you what I kind of got out of this. So this is what, to remind you, this was the initial input image. So this is what the guy looks like dancing over here. And this is what we got by using this workflow. So pretty excited with this. We're also building like this kind of like video editor screen where you can drag in your videos, animate yourself, change stuff around. Like, so this is like what we're really, really excited about and we'll have for you guys as soon as possible. Cool. Any questions here, guys, about like this new animate diff vid to vid thing? You guys are more than welcome to try it out, by the way. It's just a little slow right now.
No questions at the moment, but it is just very nice. I already want to try this.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. Super excited. Yeah, like love to hear feedback. And yeah, I'm super excited to see what you guys produce. All right, James, go ahead.
You may have covered this already, and I'm still new to rubber bands. What's the output size for the video when you do animate diff?
Yeah, great question. So the output size of the video right now, as you can see, there isn't one that we select. So the way that we are generating the output size is actually based on the exact input that you provided. So for video to video, it works this way. we also have a text to video, so let me go ahead and show you that. The text to video, where is it? Animate the text to video. This one you can actually hook up as well with your text prompts and stuff like that. I'm gonna do that. Okay, and for this one, it also doesn't currently have the option to generate your height and width. I'm gonna add that sometime soon. I'll work on that this week actually. But I think right now it's defaulting to the standard SD 1.5 size, which is the 512 by 512. The really great thing about this though, is you can always increase and upscale even your video outputs, right? So I can add an upscale image, add my video with the prompt, and now all of the things inside that video are gonna get upscaled too. So that's pretty great. Okay, I do see our graffiti SDXL thing. Oh, air it out. All right, I gotta check out why later. But basically at this point, we would generate a series of images that is upscaled, and I would actually publish that workflow. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and take a look at this problem right after we close office hours, and then I'll publish it for you guys to take a look. Cool. All right, so we've gone over video stuff. Another thing we're working on right now is adding prompt additions, prompt suggestions. So what that looks like is when you type in your text input here, we're gonna actually like highlight some of these words and be like, oh, this is the subject of the sentence. These are the adjectives, and these are suggestions on what you can replace these words with. It kind of just like helps maybe trigger a little bit of your creative side and choosing stuff and like modifying your images slightly with certain words. So we're gonna be adding that this week. And the last thing, which is kind of a constant that we're always working on, is speed optimizations. I'd say the biggest thing we have this week is you guys should definitely start using those Lightning models and check those out because they're way faster than any of the other models that we have. But we're going to keep improving the speed of the existing 1.5 and XL models too. All right, at this point, I actually wanted to take a little bit of time to gauge what kind of requests you guys have from the community for like what features you're trying to see. Maybe you guys have also seen like something cool like animate diff video to video or something like that I'd be more than happy to take a look at. So go ahead and put them in the docs or just like unmute and talk about it. I'll give you guys a couple minutes.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about the enhanced prompts, where you're talking about highlighting adjectives and different subjects and suggestions, is all of that going to be in the column on the side, on the right-hand side?
We're thinking it's going to be that way. Would that be a little annoying maybe?
No, I think that'd be great. I was just trying to figure out where that information would be. And how are you, so you're going to highlight words and then is it going to be like an enhancement button where it will rewrite the prompt like some of the other tools use, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking like, so this is right now we're just thinking about the concept and we're going to implement it in the next coming weeks. What we're thinking is we're going to have, for example, over here, graffiti art on the side of a tunnel. Tunnel will get highlighted, and then if you hover over it, you might have options like, I don't know, tunnel, park, highway, something like that.
Okay.
Thanks,
Gotcha.
Oliver. Good to see you.
And then once it's highlighted, then you'll have choices to choose those. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
And then you can keep choosing different choices, combine all of your choices together to make the new prompt.
Gotcha.
Yeah, go ahead, June.
Yeah. My question is, if you have a prompt optimizer, and I'm going to put on some words in the prompt, is it going to like tell me or suggest me to put the adjective somewhere in the prompt modifier somewhere, pre and the post prompt?
So is the question kind of, will it tell you how to organize the prompt?
Yeah, because of I have the problems of when I use prompts, I don't know where do they belong to, you know, where shall I put that prompt, like the adjectives, or what about color palettes, you know, lighting, white.
Yeah, okay, that's definitely a great add. I'm gonna add it to the doc because that is something that we didn't think of but is extremely important. So Suggestions on location of prompt parts.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure we have that in too. Yeah, Neil, go ahead.
I'm just looking at the animate video, animate the video to video,
Yes.
and I see there's a basic video, but I don't see how I can import the basic video.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing. Actually, the video input node is right now an image input. So we haven't done
Oh, it's the image input.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can bring in GIFs right now.
GIFs now. Oh, only GIFs. Okay.
Yeah, and we're gonna fix that really soon. There's gonna be a lot of work being done on this video to video stuff because it's like the thing I'm personally like the most excited about. So there's gonna be a lot of improvements on this particular thing in the next month.
Okay. Okay.
Hi.
Hey,
I
Guido,
have,
nice to see you.
Yeah, I have some questions. Okay, just some practical issues. Like when I am in the board of my generations,
Okay.
for example, I click on an image, and then if I want to see the other one, I have to close the image and open another one. There's not a way of shifting from one to the other.
Got you. So like a right and left button.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
We'll add it.
also, when I open the image, I see there's like a summary of like my text prompts all together.
Do you mean
And
this thing right here, Guido? Do you mean this thing right here?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if it's very long, like if I've used negative prompt, positive prompt, and then a prompt modifier, it's all mixed up. So I don't see. There's no place where I can check them and change them separately.
Got it. So what that kind of sounds like is you want a way to generate this exact type of aesthetic that you had, which includes the prompt modifier nodes, the negative prompts, everything basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on adding that actually. So that should become a new button, which is just like something along the lines of create the exact workflow that was used to generate this image. And we will start having that option soon.
Also, now I see that we can select the image to put them in the trash.
Yes.
But can we select them to download a group of image?
It
Or
should
we
be
have
possible unless that's buggy. So I'm going to test it right now. And yeah, I was able to get all of them.
Because I think we can download only a single image per time.
Huh, let me check that zip file really quickly. I'm actually seeing all 4 of them. So this is that zip file.
Okay.
So Avi, were you just hitting command to choose all of those, and then?
So if you're on this page, you actually see the select button. You hit the select button and then just click on all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, thanks, Guido. Anything else you've noticed?
Some like, can you put like a preferred image? Like if I see all the generation here, I don't have a way of putting like a star or and then so group only the one I've chosen.
Gotcha. So it's like you want to kind of put your favorite images somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like ratings?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to do? Like rate them, like a 1 star, a 2 star?
But 1 star would be nice.
hopefully you guys aren't getting any 1-star images from us, but yeah. So Guido, actually, that's a good question, Chad. So is it more like you want to rate your own images or you want to organize your images?
No, organize that. I don't know. I have generated 20 images. Then I choose 3. And I put like a heart or a star
Yeah.
to those 3.
Yeah.
And so when I want to recall those I've chosen, I don't have to look for them in all the pictures. I mean, I just see them separately.
Okay, yeah, so maybe we'll add something like a favorites or something.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way. So I'm gonna add that again to the feature requests here. I'm putting all of the feature requests on the doc that I sent, guys. Saving favorite images.
Okay, for today.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I love
Yeah.
this. I mean, like, keep giving us stuff that you like would want to have or finding annoying, things like that. Okay, all right. Anyone else with any comments here?
Yeah, maybe I have. Or June, you first.
Okay, I'm sorry, Alexander. I just want to ask a silly question. Has anyone done a very complicated workflow that works?
You sent one?
No, I haven't done any. I'm just asking.
Oh, you want a super complicated workflow that does work?
Yeah. I'm just asking the community, whoever has done something like a super complicated thing, which like works really well.
I've been successful, June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Chad and Duncan, yes, you both been very successful, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them I've set up with text modifiers, and then some I have as just positive prompts and negative prompts.
Mm-hmm.
And you were asking earlier about the text modifier and pre-prompts and post-prompts. So usually what I do for a pre-prompt is what I want it to be. Do I want it to be an image? Do I want it to be a painting? Do I want it to be an illustration? And then my positive prompt is kind of like the subject and the meat of things. And then all of my descriptives, like the lighting, the angle, the depth of field, possibly a camera I use, I put all of that in my post prompt.
Cool.
So I guess they can be pretty complicated, but seem to work. And it's just kind of fine tuning, but then once you have something you like, it's repeatable.
Okay. So that means that I can put in something like, if it's a sketch or illustration or a photorealistic thing, it could, I will put it in the pre-prompt. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah. Like mine would say a realistic photograph of, and then I would just stop right there. That's my pre-prompt. And then my positive prompt, which would be, a different node, might say a man walking down the street. And then my post prompt might say golden hour, shallow depth of field, eye level, perspective, all of the descriptive adjectives that go after it.
Okay.
Thanks I think Chad put it great. Just ask my users to explain our product. They're better than we are. So, so last thing, every week I wanted to do kind of like a spotlight on some really cool workflows that I've seen being developed over the last week. So just to encourage people sharing a little more and like trying other people's workflows. So a couple that I saw this week that I thought were really cool is Guido's new African color landscape. So I really like this kind of aesthetic. And I think the reason I liked it so much, Guido, is because it reminded me a little bit of the graffiti that I was like pretty interested in making today. So I really like this. And the great thing about doing this and sharing it is exactly to help people like June who are looking for how to create these complicated workflows. And the way I can do that is very easy now. I can take a look at the settings where I can see all that you've done.
It was very easy setting. Everything is in the prompt.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's totally valid starting point, right? I mean, still very interesting to at least see what is the actual model that's being used here, and what kind of words Guido is using. So we are able to see that here. And in case anyone didn't catch like what I just did, I actually went to the community page. I clicked on Guido's workflow, and then I created a copy of the workflow. And then I have my own local version that's copied on his. Another one I thought was super cool. I know Chad worked on Mad World. I really, really like this aesthetic because I've seen the magazines and they look very similar. And it's pretty cool that like nowadays we can just generate these magazine covers like they're nothing. So very, very impressive. I mean, I've cloned it myself and played around with it. Definitely encourage you guys to do so too. All right, I guess besides that, let me make sure I hit everything on my agenda. Yeah, looks like I hit everything. Neil, go ahead.
I've run a bit of a problem when I try to generate faces. I always get a blurred face.
Yes, so I'm guessing you're using the reactor node, right? The face swap?
No, just a normal face with a description. I always get a bit of a blurred face.
Oh, that's very surprising. Okay, go ahead and send me a maybe message or something, or put it in Discord so that everyone can see it too, and then I can check out what you're seeing, and I'll look into that for sure.
Okay.
This is a definite problem that we have with our face swap node, where the resolution is slightly lower, and we're working on fixing that for sure.
Actually, you brought the conversation on the swap faces, and you have posted a workflow, but it's rather complicated.
Yes.
You understand?
So I posted a very complicated workflow as our photorealistic character consistency one. I don't know where that is, if I can find it.
Because personally, it's something that I'm really interested in developing. Character.
Yes. Yeah, so this workflow is extremely complicated. The reason I created such a complicated workflow is so that people can actually understand how all these work. So I put as many nodes as I could in here to like help people understand every single part. I'd be more than happy to walk you through it maybe after the office hours call, because like I'm sure it's a lot if people aren't as interested in that right now. So maybe just stick around, Guido, and I'll walk you through that a little bit. Cool. And last thing, we're going to start doing this office hours thing every week. And we want to also give the opportunity for people to present what they're working on. So if you're ever interested in kind of like talking about some of your ideas or workflows, please just message us like a few days or like even a day before, any of the three of us, and we'll just make sure we have some time for you during the office hours to do that. Okay. All right. I think that's it. If there's no other questions.
I have one question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
This might be a thing that you already have. I might not have noticed. Do you guys have a dark mode?
Oh, okay.
Can you switch it from white to black?
I don't think we actually do. We used to. I think we may have taken it out. But we can add it back. We just wanted our thing
to kind of very bright.
Yeah, it was like intentional. We were like, a lot of like what people are doing these days on their products is making like super black, like sleek, like very low key products. And we're like, maybe we should do something that's just like super out there. So that's why we've chosen it this way.
Okay. Not a problem.
Yeah. But we can add it back. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. This was super fun, super interesting. As always, reach out if you have any questions, and I'd love to see you guys again next week. All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. You can stick around so I can.
Yeah, I can say.
So,
yeah.
I would like to stay as well.
Okay. Leo, you can also stay.
Yeah, sure.
If you're trying to get a little additional information on stuff you missed and things like that.
No, I mean, I mostly see how things work. It's pretty cool. I mean, comfy UI in the web. How can one complain?
Yeah. That's like kind of how the idea started. Like Comfy is way too complicated. And also you have to set up everything on your own. So we are trying to like make it way easier to use, combine a lot of different nodes together so that like it's way more straightforward for an average user, and make the experience just wonderful. So hopefully we're accomplishing some of those things right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, I think one cool thing would be if there was some kind of AI way to merge two different people's templates.
Oh,
And like,
okay.
and like, you wouldn't really necessarily know what you would get and like if it would work, but like if you could just find two templates that you like and just kind of throw them together and
Hey,
see
that's
what
super
comes out of
interesting.
it,
Okay.
I think that could be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I have this doc where just writing down all the feature requests and things like that. Okay, for sure. Definitely will take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I would note is just the render times are a little bit slower. I don't
Yeah.
know where you're rendering, but you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, that's something we're actually working on every week. You guys should keep seeing that go down. How's your experience been so far with, I guess, the people who have been here maybe like longer than a week? Are you noticing the times are going down to some extent? Maybe Guido and Nicoletta, you guys?
Yeah, excuse me. They're getting shorter time of wait,
Okay,
but still, like in other platforms, like I don't know, Invoke, Focus, or
Yes.
whatever. You see something going on
Okay.
in the middle, and you don't see the empty space until the end.
Okay,
when
so that's something that is kind of nice for you to have.
maybe for the people, it's the idea that something is getting shape,
Yes. Yeah, that is
Uh,
something we've actually had on our backlog to do.
instead of stepping from zero to the image.
Right, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that to some extent is slightly computationally expensive, so I wouldn't like spend a ton of compute resources on it. But I think it's nice, especially for people who don't really understand, to like see like the computer is thinking. This is how it thinks. Here
Yeah, I
it's
think
becoming less blurry and the resolution ups.
for sure. I think we are concerned with like drop off on people just thinking it's not working or something. So maybe that is a good way to indicate like, hey, it is working, but it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Hi, Hina. I see you've joined. Feel free to stick around. I can definitely talk to you a little bit later as well. We're just actually walking through this one slightly complicated workflow that Guido was interested in. So I'll preface this with kind of the fact that this workflow is still not perfect. There's a lot of issues with this, and I think that's going to generally be true of human portraits and faces in AI. So I think we're going to see a lot of progress this year, but still like some ways to go. But all right, let's take a look at what's going on here. So first off, let me read the description, which is switch to playground. Okay, I don't even have the description here because it's a copy. But basically what this workflow does is it takes a close-up image of like the person and positive prompt, negative prompt, and then you actually generate the person in that setting. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here.
I've seen that in the text, the positive prompt, it's a little bit different than the average prompts that we use, because you have put LoRa, skin, and other details like this.
Yeah, that's actually cool that you noticed that. This is actually evidence of our progress over the last month. This is outdated now. So you don't need to do this anymore. This is actually unnecessary, which is great. So let's go over like what's happening here. So basically the idea is taking images of my face, taking a text description, and then output me in that setting. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna start off with this image. What's going on through these nodes here, these first 4 nodes, it's gonna be a little complicated, so hopefully you guys will follow along. At the end of these nodes, I will remove all of the background from this image. This image is great in particular because there's actually no background. But if there was like a little bit of stuff in the background and like I'm in the middle of some scene, I would remove all of that by the end of this get unmasked image contents node. So let's go ahead and see how that's doing that. So first, this is a depth preprocessor. What does a depth preprocessor mean? What it actually does is it just takes like the image and then creates a depth map out of it. So if you take a screenshot of me right now, I will be in one color and the background will be in another color. I will probably be much darker than background. After that, we create a mask from that image channel, which means give me the depth mask, and now just only take, you guys are probably aware about how images are red, green, and blue, right? So what this is saying is take the depth map, which is technically an image, and just take the red channel. It's pretty arbitrary. You can actually choose the red, green, or blue channel, but the point is it'll basically create just one mask of the entire image. You don't need to have several channels. After that, we're gonna flip the mask, because that's, if you don't flip the mask, it'll actually flag the background instead of the foreground. So I'm flipping the mask, and then finally, I'm getting the unmasked image contents. Now this is the most complicated node. So let's go ahead and see what's going on here. There's some sensitivity thing. And remember what the image looks like after this stuff, right? After the mask creation, mask inverter, it's actually just a grayscale mask. So what that means is like what is grayscale? It's kind of like a range from like 0 to 255, and like it's just varying degrees of how gray you are. And what we're seeing in the get unmasked image contents is that everything that is more than 50%, get that as part of my image. So in order to get that, we have to supply the mask, right? Which is that grayscale stuff. And then we supply the initial image. And then we get the part of the image that satisfies the mask. Very confusing here. I'm sure I lost a ton of people. So first, I guess like we can get through all of the questions, because that's a pretty complicated thing. What do you think, Guido?
I think, it's a matter of like just memorize fix it in the memory, okay?
Okay.
Without asking why. I mean, if we don't have to change the
exactly, that's actually a great way of thinking about it.
Okay, yeah. It's like that. Okay.
Actually, that's a great way of thinking about it, Guido. So actually, in case anyone did not follow along, because this is slightly more technical in nature, that's the really great thing about our product, right? If you know that this entire part, this circle right here, if you know that that will output my face without the background, you can just copy that thing and put it everywhere you need that. So to be clear, if I input a face, I want just the face without the background, I'm gonna copy all these nodes together, and the output of this will be the face without the background. And now we can get to stuff that is much more understandable. So after we get the face without the background, we pause that for a second, and we go back to actually generating the image that we're interested in. So we go to the text input, which right now this is outdated. We don't need this anymore. It's a portrait of a man, clean shaven, smiling, blah, 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 blah. And we're also going to add a style reference, which is going to be my face again. So the same input that's here, we need to add it into the style reference. And we're going to use the text to image node. We're gonna also use a simple LoRa that's like teeth and hands. So like good teeth, good hands, because that's like some problems that we always have with SDXL. We're gonna use the style reference, which is going to have my face in it. And then we're going to generate some image that kind of looks like me in this particular aesthetic, right? So it's gonna be some person who looks like me, but he's gonna be clean shaven, blah, 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 blah. And finally, after we generate that initial image, we're gonna replace the face of that person with my face that we got after doing this. Take out the background thing.
What did you put in the style references?
In the style reference, I should actually have the same as this input image.
The same input images.
That's correct. So I would have an input image here. My style reference would also be my face, right? Because I want someone that looks like me. Yeah, thanks, June. Great to see you. That also looks like me. And then after that, I would want to swap the faces so that it's like exactly my face. And at that point, yeah, the usual upscale save node. So, okay, how does that sound, Guido? Does that make a little more sense?
Yeah.
Nicoletta, I know I lost you on the earlier part, but how is this one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand everything. You know that I'm like very new and I'm learning.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I know that I will learn very fast, but at the moment I'm just trying to how to actually match everything.
Yeah. And
If you watch a
this is
tutorial on how to
definitely-
use
Go ahead,
Comfy
Leo. What was
UI,
that?
I was going to say, if you watch some tutorials on how to do Comfy UI basics, I think it also makes a lot of this make sense. Or same thing, like if you watch a tutorial on how to do a mask inverter and an unsharp mask in Photoshop, I think that context helps this make more sense.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you very much. I saw your comment as well that you said about Photoshop. I understand, but the problem that I didn't really work with Photoshop with mask. I mean,
You don't have to know how to do it. You can just, like, if you watch a YouTube tutorial about it and they describe like
yeah.
all the
Well,
art basis of it. I mean, maybe that's going too deep and it's unnecessary. Like Guido said, like
Yeah.
better to just not understand but memorize.
Yeah, I think, Nicoletta, one way I kind of looking at this is kind of similar to what Guido is saying. So we have two types of users on this product. So one type of user is the person who's good at this low level stuff, which is like, that's probably like more along my lines where I understand all these individual things. Leo probably gets that kind of stuff too. But for you guys are extremely creative in ways that I can never do. So the great part is you guys can take all of these components and just use them without thinking about them. But you can use like change the knobs, add your own kind of text to enhance the creativity. And that's how I see you guys using this product. Thank you, Francesca. Super nice to see you.
And what about the reactor face swap?
Yes, so all that does, Guido, is it's just gonna swap my face with whatever face was generated here. So the input image is going to be the image that came from this text to image node, right? Like so, and I want to swap the guy in that node with me. So I'm going to go ahead and just take in the image that I got of myself, right? After removing the background. So you can see the output image here is going into the source image for the reactor face swap.
Okay.
And the input
But
image.
all the parameters that I see here,
yes.
Did you download it? Can you change it with others, or they have to be those?
So this is something that is pre-downloaded in Rubbarband. If you want to change these parameters, you're more than welcome to. I would mostly just go up on this code form or wait if needed, but that's only if like stuff is getting blurry and things like that. I wouldn't worry too much about like how exactly these models are working, because kind of the way that they're doing things, to give you a high level explanation, is like they find out where your face is, they found out where the generated image's face is, and they kind of copy your face onto that image in a smart way.
Okay, and here I see there is the ultimate upscaler.
Yes.
Do we have to change it with the other one, the image upscaler, or what's the difference between the two?
The ultimate upscaler, to be honest, is a little hallucinatory. It is a very high quality upscaler that also like kind of like tends to hallucinate certain details. The other image upscalers are very, very clear and they follow your image very closely, and you won't be as worried about like creations. But that is a little confusing. We'll try to change the wording on those.
Yeah, because I've always been using this one in my workflows, the ultimate.
Yes.
Yes.
This one is really nice, honestly. So
yeah, and the difference is also that you have to connect the negative prompt. On the other one, I saw you didn't connect the negative prompt.
Is that so? Let me double check. Oh, you don't have to, Guido.
Mm.
So in both of them, you don't have to. It's an optional one.
Ah,
Yeah.
it doesn't give error, right? If
Yeah. I mean, like, it always helps to add more information for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Different
Okay.
iconography for optional versus non-optional inputs would be helpful, possibly. Like a circle versus a square. I don't know if there is
Yeah.
actually different.
The star isn't quite doing
Star.
it. Okay, so maybe is it because the star isn't quite doing it?
I guess star isn't the most obvious to me. Like,
Okay.
now that you say it, it's like, now I see it. But I wouldn't have thought of that star. Like, star to me means, like, go look for somewhere at the bottom where it says star and what the star means. You know?
Okay, true. Okay, yeah, we will do something like that. Let me add it into the feature requests.
Because that's also a complaint I have with Comfy UI, is that I feel like it's, also not 100% intuitive which are optional or not optional. I don't know what the best UX design is for that.
Yes. Yeah, got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was thinking also, if we can have a history of our prompts of workflows, because, every time we have to double the scheme, the workflow, and then use it with something else.
What do you
I don't
mean
know.
double, Guido?
Like edit the workflow,
Yeah.
duplicate it,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and then I mean, it would be if there is like an entire set of the workflow which is not changing, and you only change the words.
Yeah.
But changing the words, the text in the prompt is in any case meaningful, and it changes everything.
Right.
So
kind of like a history as to like how your workflow is changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on that. It's a little bit of unfortunately a complicated task because the workflow changes and the playground changes. So
Yeah.
it's like, so we're definitely like working on that. Hopefully we'll have it out in the next month or so.
Yeah, because right now, like I have the projects, I have like already many projects, and I have to call them every workflow.
Yeah, that's super annoying.
With a different name.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
like put the dates and everything or something like that.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's super annoying. We're definitely working on that. So that's something that
Or
you
at
guys will-
least to have them like, I can have the names listed instead of having all the boards.
the names.
I don't know if you follow me. I mean, when I go in my project, if you open your project, you have like all the workflow you have saved.
Yes.
And every workflow is with a different name because it's referring to a different version.
Yes. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, I think I mean all of that is solved by just having a history, right? And then you can like click on the history and go to the version that you're interested in. All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, I guess so I guess Hina is also left the meeting. So I guess that's it then. If there's no more questions, I guess we can stop here.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for coming, and see you guys next week.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye,
Abby.
everyone.
Bye,
Thank you very much, Avinav. It was very, very nice call. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Very nice.
Bye bye.